Welcome to SoftPro Saved You a Seat, episode 68. Today we are going to be sharing our part 2 of our standard tips and tricks series for 2025. We have our SoftPro Senior Implementation Manager, Sara Hay, with us today, and she is going to share some awesome tips and tricks and features for your SoftPro Standard software. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to type them into the question box and we will address them either as we go along or at the end of the presentation. So Sara, whenever you are ready, take it away.
Thank you, Catherine. So like Catherine said, my name is Sara Hay and I'm a Senior Implementation Manager for SoftPro. Today, I am here to share some tips and tricks for using standards. So let me pop over there so you can see my screen. To start, I want to look at the express order entry screen with you. This screen is here for basic order information, basic data entry that you need in order to get the order open, but you don't maybe have a lot to go on. On this screen, you're going to see some more buttons. These buttons are going to be shortcut buttons that lead to other screens inside the order. Throughout the program, you'll find buttons like this that'll lead to other screens that you can use as needed, but they're not required. They're literally shortcuts. If you have additional information, use the buttons to get to the screens necessary, enter the data, and come back. It is not necessary to use these buttons, but you can if you want to. So just to give you an idea, here with our buyer-borrower, if I click on the More button, it's going to open up screen number 4, which will be my buyer-borrower officers and signatures screen. I can enter the additional data I need at that time, and then I can go back to the original screen. Same with the property, takes me to screen number 7. So truly just shortcut buttons to get where you need to go. All right, the next thing I want to talk about are keyboard shortcuts. Throughout the program, you have keyboard shortcuts that can be used for a lot of different things. There is a list of keyboard shortcuts on our F1 help site, which is where we're headed next. F1 is probably going to be the most important shortcut you're going to see today. F1 takes you to our help website. From our main page, wherever you are in the program, if you're on this page without a screen open, if you press F1, it's going to take you to the main welcome page. On our main welcome page, we have all of the different modules and categorized for you. When you click on the module you're looking for, you get even more categories. Once you're there, you can find what you're looking for either by moving through those categories, or you can use the search pane here in the upper right-hand corner. Everything is pretty well categorized for you. Once you open up one of those items, you might see videos if we have some available, and you'll see job aids over here on the right-hand side. If you're in a screen inside the program, and you have your cursor in a field and you press F1 from that screen or from that field, it's going to take you to the reading about that particular screen and or field specific to what you're doing. So F1 is going to be probably one of the best resources you're going to find in the program. It's also where you're going to find all the answers to all of your questions, at least about SoftPro. The next keyboard shortcut I want to talk about is F2. F2 is going to be one of your best friends in SoftPro. It'll clear a field or reestablish a link when that link has been disabled by turning a field red. That said, let's talk a little bit about red versus black text. Red text is information that you as the user enter into the program or modify in the program. Black text is information that's generated by the program based on a link to other information. You have the ability to override that black text, but when you do, you're disablling the link to the original piece of information. So in this particular case, my settlement date here is in red. My disbursement date here is in black. If I change my settlement date, my disbursement date is going to change automatically. There we go. I can change my disbursement date just by overriding the information, but notice that that changes the information to red. That means that you as the user modified the information. That disables the link to the original information. So if I go back and I change my settlement date again, my disbursement date's not going to change because the program at this point is essentially saying, hey, You know better than I do what you're doing. So I'm not changing that because you changed it. I'm not changing it again until you tell me to. You can update the information to change it back, or if you want to reestablish the link, you can put your cursor anywhere in the field and press F2 on your keyboard. That clears it out. And once you hit tab, it'll reestablish the link. That works everywhere in the program. Okay. The next keyboard shortcut I want to talk about is F7. Did you know that SoftPro offers a spell check function? You have the ability to spell check any field in the program. F7 is going to be that spell check function. When you put your cursor in a field and you press F7 on your keyboard, it's going to open up our spell checker. From there, you can ignore the one item, or if you have that item multiple times in that particular field, you can ignore all. You have the ability to change that word if you wanted to. In this particular case, I don't want to, but maybe in this case I do. So I can change the one or I can change all. Same thing with any words that come up. Once it's complete, it'll tell you that that spell check is complete, and you can say okay. Obviously, you still want to check it, make sure that it caught everything, but your spell check is complete. So change it, make it complete, you're good to go. You also have the ability to copy and paste in SoftPro. You are not going to see a copy and paste option in your right click, so you probably noticed that. When you want to copy and paste, you're going to use Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. So if I want to copy something, I'm going to highlight my text, Control-C, put my cursor wherever I want it to appear, and Control-V. Control-C for copy, Control-V for paste. Next thing I want to talk about are scrollable fields. In the program, you are going to see fields like this legal description field that has arrows on the right-hand side. The arrows on the right-hand side indicate that this is a scrollable field. A scrollable field means that you can enter up to 12 pages worth of data. Now, that's a lot of data to enter into one field. If you need to see more of that field, Control-Z on your keyboard is going to open that up so you can see everything that's there. If you want to change it, you can change it. Make sure you hit the OK button. That'll retain the information for you. Scrollable fields are extremely helpful. You'll find them a lot throughout the program. When I want to move on to my next screen, I can use page up or page down. Now, a lot of you are on your keyboard probably looking at your arrow buttons. Please don't. Page up and page down are actually page up, which will move you to your previous screen. Page down will move you to your next screen. I'm going to take us to our lender screen and talk a little bit about lookup tables. Did you know that you have the ability to store information in SoftPro in what's called a lookup table? Some people refer to the lookup tables as a Rolodex. You can store a lot more information in these lookup tables besides Rolodex information. What I want to talk about right now is actually Rolodex information in the lookup table for the lender. In this particular contact, I've added Hay Lending Services as my lender. Lookup tables sometimes will have a field like this one that says lender lookup code. How do I know if a field contains a lookup table though? Down here in the lower right-hand corner, there are three items: file balance, LKUP, and lending. LKUP is what indicates a field has a lookup table. If my cursor is in a field with a lookup table, LKUP appears. If I move my cursor, LKUP disappears, indicating there's no lookup table. When I want to add information to the lookup table, the first thing I need to do is create a code, that key field. Once I do that, I can press F9 on my keyboard. I'm going to highlight end of list, and I'm going to insert that entry so it's always available for next time. That adds it to my lookup table. When I close, it doesn't matter, the lookup table lives in the background. I am now going to use F2 to clear out all of these fields. so that we can pull that information back from the lookup table. So now my order's empty. I need to pull in information from the lookup table. I have multiple ways to do this. I can either press F9 on my keyboard and double click to pull it in, or, and I'm going to F2 again, I have the ability to press F9, highlight the entry I want, and retrieve the entry. Or, and remember I'm using F2 to clear these fields out, I can type in the code if I know what the code is, and when I press tab, it should pull that information in. Unfortunately, in this particular case, because we've been using it for testing, it's not going to work that way for me. But again, we can pull it in using the lookup table. The other option you have to access your lookup tables, if for some reason you find that your F9 is not working because your function lock's not on or something, you can right-click and click lookup, or use Control-L. All of those shortcuts work the same way. You also have the ability to modify information in your lookup tables. So my address isn't right. It's 123 River Run. My lookup table is now incorrect. So I need to update that information. And to do so, I'm going to go back to my lookup code, put my cursor in the field, and press F9. I'm going to highlight the information that I want to replace and click Replace Entry. That updates the information. So now if I look at my table, I've got 123 River Run, as opposed to the 258 it was. You have the ability also to create new lookup tables if you want to store information in a field that doesn't currently have a lookup table. So for example, maybe you want to use your user optional fields and you want a lookup table there. These are scrollable. So Control-Z, remember, opens up that scrollable field editor. You can add lookup tables to fields that don't already contain them. Those are called custom lookup tables. They're going to be more advanced than we really have time for today, but if it's something you're interested in doing, please give us a call and ask. We're happy to do that with you. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is title insurance a little bit. Did you know that SoftPro can calculate your title insurance premiums for you? If you go to your title insurance tab and open up the policy premium dates and numbers screen, the first field is going to contain a lookup table. You'll note that down here in the lower right-hand corner, LKUP appears again. Some templates will have F9 there just as an indicator that there's a lookup table and there's information behind it as well. When you press F9, you're going to see all the policy codes available to you based on your business and based on what you've had us install for you. When you retrieve the entry that you want, so I'm going to double click on my loan policy and hit tab. Tab's our catch-all to make sure that that calculates. It's going to pull in this case I said it's a refinance, so it's a loan policy. And when I click on my base premium, there's a premium there. And when I click on more, it's going to tell me, okay, I've got a split with my underwriter. In this case, I did not have a split, but it would show 20%, 25%, whatever your rate split is with your underwriter. If you press F9 in this field, in the underwriter policy lookup code field, and you don't see anything there, give us a call so we can get those installed for you. Also, if you find that something's not calculating correctly, please give us a call so we can update that for you. We want to make sure that that's calculating correctly for you. All right, that's title insurance premiums. Did you know that you can also collect for your endorsements? When you have an endorsement you need to collect, you can open up your endorsement screen, which is screen number 6 under title insurance. When you check the box here on the left-hand side next to the endorsement and have a charge, it'll add that charge to your system, to your CD and invoice once you tell it to. If I uncheck the box, it pulls it out of that total. Having the box checked adds it back in. Behind the More button, I have the ability to choose my invoice line. So if I want to push it to my invoice, I can. It's going to automatically push it to a CDF line or a HUD line based on your options in the system. If you're in a CDF order, it'll be based on your CDF options. If you're in a HUD order, you'll choose your line number. You also have the ability here to split this endorsement between you and the underwriter if you split your endorsements with the underwriter. All of that's handled behind the scenes. It'll add that to your premium calculation check when you're ready to cut checks as well. All right, so that's endorsements. We're going to stay in title insurance for a little bit longer, and let's talk about requirements and exceptions. So in our standard version, you have the ability to add up to 30 requirements and 50 exceptions. When you open up your requirements, the left-hand side is going to be a column that shows LKUP, indicates a lookup table. Your right-hand column are all scrollable fields, so you can add as much as 12 pages worth of information to your commitment that you, as much as you need. Your exceptions work very similarly. Left-hand column is going to be your lookup code. Right-hand column will be your scrollable field for your exception. You also have the ability here to tell the program where you want this exception to appear. Will it appear on your commitment only? Will it appear on the commitment owner's policy but not the loan policy? Will it appear on the owner's policy only? Commitment and loan policy. Loan policy only. It will default to all. In your requirements and exceptions, you have the ability to add by hand your requirement or exception. You also have the ability to use the lookup table. So in this case, I pulled in some of my requirements from the lookup table. When I press F9, I have a list that I can use to pull them in. If I wanted to add a new one to the lookup table, I'm going to type in my information. I'll use this one for example. I'm going to add my code, whatever I want that code to be. When I press F9 on my keyboard, I'm going to scroll down, highlight end of list, and insert the entry. That way, next time I want it, I can type in the code, and it'll pull that information in. Or I can press F9 and retrieve it. In your lookup tables, in your requirements and exceptions, you also have the ability to prompt yourself for information. So if you have a piece, let's say a cancellation. So I've got a cancellation in here. Let's see. Cancellation, release of deed of trust. This particular item needs some additional information in order to be complete. So it needs your trustee, it needs your lender, recording information, that kind of thing. In those, we have the ability to prompt for information. So what I just did is I pulled that information out of the lookup table using that retrieve without insert so that you can see the coding. It's looking for the trustee, it's looking for a date. You can create custom requirements and custom exceptions with that coding and add them to the lookup table so that when you retrieve it, it prompts you for that information. And what that looks like is when I pull this in, so that was RX24, it's going to prompt me for the information needed. And you can see I'm just adding the information needed for this particular requirement. And once I pull all of that in, it completes the information once I've added the prompt information to it. Same thing if I wanted to add this. So currently I do not have a test requirement in my database. I can add this. So I've got my prompt here. I'm just saying, hey, what's my question? When I add that to my lookup table, so same thing, end of list and insert the entry. The next time I pull that in, and I'm using F2 to delete that, the next time I pull that information in, it's going to prompt me for whatever information that I'm lacking in that requirement. That's how your requirements and exceptions are going to work. When you are ready to start adding requirements and exceptions, if those requirements and exceptions need prompt information and you need some help with the formatting for those prompts, please give us a call. We're happy to help with that as well. All right, our next topic for today is documents. SoftPro can be used as a document repository. In your ribbon, you have a button that looks like a scanner. When you hover over that button, it shows the word attachments. This is where you're going to store any attachments that you want to within SoftPro. But how do I get those attachments into that section? There are actually several ways to do this. The first of which is going to be File and Print to Attachments. When I do that, it's just like printing the documents from your printer icon here in the ribbon. You're going to find your document, whatever you want, and in this case, I'm going to use the CDF Refinance. Name it, so it says Save it to Attachments As. Name your document however you want. Once you click the OK button, it's going to run it. Make sure you follow your prompts, just like you would if you were printing. It'll spool it. And then you're going to get a message saying your documents have been successfully attached to the order. Once you click OK, if you wanted to view those documents or access those documents, you would go back to that attachment section. The document will appear under your description, and it'll tell you what date and time it was saved. You have the ability from here to view that document, or you can double click on it. You can edit the document name. You can delete the document if you want to, which I'm not going to, or you can email it out. What this does is, if you're using Outlook as your email application and you click that email button, if you have a contact in the order that has an email address associated with it, you can choose that contact from the list. It will appear. If you don't have the contact that you need in the order with an email address, you can just say OK. It will start an email. You can see my emails blinking, and there it is. And I apologize, it's on my other screen. It automatically starts that email, so you can just type in who you're sending it to, your subject line, your attachment's already there, and add your message. And I'm not going to say changes to that. You also have the ability to pull in documents using this attach button from elsewhere on your system. So if you click attach, it's going to browse out, and you can find what you're looking for there. The other way, or one of the other ways to add documents to the system would be to find your location. You can drag and drop from that location into SoftPro. When you do that, your arrow has a plus sign behind it. And when you see that plus sign, you can just drop it. It's going to say, hey, okay, one file successfully attached. Say okay. And that document will now appear in your attachment section. And the last way of getting documents in here would be from an email if you're using Outlook. You do have the ability also to drag and drop, that attachment into the program. Same thing happens. Your arrow has the plus sign behind it. And when you drop it, it'll attach. All right. So that gives us those. The next item we're going to talk about will be order notes. In your system, in your General tab, underneath on screen number 3, your file settlement dates, file number, settlement dates, and notes, you have an order notes section. This is a location for you to make notes about the order for you and or anybody else to review, so they're always available. Some more keyboard shortcuts we're going to talk about here. So Control A is going to add your date, time, and the person adding the note. If you don't need all of that, you just want the date, Control D will add your date. And this is a scrollable field. So when you use Control Z, that's going to open up your scrollable field editor so you can see more information and type more information. Alrighty, that takes care of our order notes. So next, let's talk about file types. In SoftPro, you have 2 different file types. You have Proform data files, which are your working closing files, and you have Proform template files. Template files are boilerplates where information pulls from into your working closing files. When you have information you need on the majority of your files that you're creating, you can put that information in your templates. So you're only changing the information in the one-off situation that doesn't meet the norm. There are several types of templates. You have your base transaction templates, like your purchase and refinance templates. You have underwriter templates, or if, let's say, you have multiple underwriters that you use and the requirements and exceptions might be different from one to the next. You can have subdivision templates where you might have a legal description and specific requirements and exceptions for that particular subdivision. Transaction templates are the everyday templates that you're using for everything you do, like a purchase or refinance. You can apply more than one template to an order to get all the information necessary for that particular situation. So, for example, if I wanted to create a purchase, I'm going to hit my new order button in the ribbon. I'm going to use a base transaction template. In this case, it's my default CDF template. It's my default. And I'm going to say, OK. I know I need a subdivision template for this order. So in my ribbon, I have an overlay button. I can click on that overlay button and browse out to my subdivision template and pull it in. Now, before I do that, I'm going to look at my title insurance, and I don't have any requirements or exceptions in this particular base template. Once I apply that subdivision template, it's going to populate with any requirements and exceptions that I might have in that subdivision template. Underwriters work the same way, so not all underwriters are the same. You may have a fidelity template, you may have an older public template, depending on your needs. So those are our different template types that you can use in the system. And again, just like everything else, if you need assistance creating new templates, you can have as many templates in here as you want. If you need assistance with that, give us a call. We're always happy to help. The other option that you have is when you apply a template, you do have the ability to, instead of saying, I want to apply everything in this template, you can pick and choose. That is a setting that we have in SoftPro. So when you hit that overlay button, which I don't have that setting set currently, I should say, when you hit that overlay button, it'll give you the option to pull contacts, pull title, pull property information. So if that's something you want to look at with us, give us a call as well. All right, the next thing I want to talk about are documents a little bit more in a different capacity. Did you ever notice in your ReadyDocs tree that you have a user ReadyDocs tree? Probably may or may not have something on it. This is your tree to do with what you will. You can put whatever documents you want on it at any time. You can modify this tree at any time. When you want to modify that tree, you're going to go to your Tools and ReadyDocs Manager. From there, you can move the trees around. So I like to have my user tree at the top, so I'm going to move that up. You can create folders on that tree by clicking the Insert New Folder button. And I'm just going to put my CDF refi on that tree. Anything in the SoftPro ReadyDocs tree here on the left-hand side, you can drag and drop. So once I find the documents I want to add, I'm going to browse out, find my refinance. I can pull just the pages that I want just by dragging and dropping them into that folder. Maybe I don't want the 2A and 2B, so I'm just going to pull the 5 pages. When I open up the folder, now I see pages 1 through 5 of my refinance. I can also add new documents. If I'm pulling documents from the state or underwriter trees that you might have in your system, you want to make sure you're copying and pasting. If you drag and drop like we did from the SoftPro tree, it's going to actually remove those documents from the original location. So copy and paste. So maybe I need a deed in my ReadyDocs tree. I'm going to say Insert New Folder, and this is going to be my deed. I'm going to find my deeds in my ReadyDocs. I'm going to highlight the one that I need. I'm going to copy it, highlight my tree that I want to put it into, and paste it in. And I can do that with whatever pages I want. Once I say OK, everything modifies over here under my ReadyDocs, so I can view one page at a time if I want to. I also from here have the ability to print from that ReadyDocs tree as well. So everything you do in that ReadyDocs Manager carries through to your ReadyDocs pane on your right-hand side of your order, but also to your paper printer. All righty, that takes care of our ReadyDocs Manager. One thing that a lot of people are using, some people are not, is word merge. We have the ability in SoftPro to create word merge documents. These word merge documents can be anything that you need on a regular basis. What we need to do is we code them to the program and then add them to the program. This is something that is definitely more advanced than what we have the time for today. So that is something that if you're interested, we have job aids, and we also have, I believe, some videos on our F1 Help site I would have to check, but we can definitely help you with that as well. When you have word merge documents, those word merge documents are going to be located either behind this W in the ribbon that looks like the word icon. Any custom word merge documents would be on the user word tree, or we have some out of the box documents. When you render those documents, they will render in Word for you. I think that pretty much takes care of everything I wanted to go over today. We're kind of running a little into time, but I hope that this was helpful for everybody. Please give SoftPro Support a call if you need any assistance with anything I went over today, and they'll be happy to help. I'm always happy to help, and thank you so much for your time and for being a SoftPro customer.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Just want to let everybody know we did record this webinar, so if you'd like to go back and reference it at any point, we will be posting the recording on our blog and sending it via an email, so keep an eye out for that. And thank you for joining us today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.